Alright, what's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life Baby. You already know how it is. So, for this video, I promised you guys this a while ago. This is going to be the evolution of Aquaforce, part numero tres. So part three. And in the last two parts, we mostly kind of just went over the break right era, going from, you know, OG Maelstrom to, my personal favorite, Tetra Drive and Transcore and whatnot. And, we also took a look at how, over how Aquaforce was in comparison to the rest of the format, going from like Eradicators being heavily dominated to Aquaforce seeing a consistent trend of them getting support, and then other clans that have abilities that sort of naturally kind of sort of counter our what we want to do come out, such as link jokers, for instance. And link jokers is generally was kind of what pushed us into this we need to run crit triggers type of thing. So going off of that, um we look at the Legion era now. The Legion era was probably the worst time for Aquaforce. If anything, it was really bad. As an Aquaforce player, it wasn't really exactly a fun time for us. We really struggled, and I think that our Legion deck was one of the worst Legion decks, to come out then. It so entering the Legion, we had strong decks like, Phantom Blaster, the Revenger Abyss series, Genesis, Regalia series, where, and then you had like Blue Flame Liberators, Things Saver, things like that. And a lot of the things that were what made a deck really strong during the Legion era was guard manipulation, um, and restanding. And it was really both of those things is kind of what defined what a top deck in the uh, Legion era would look like. Um, like Revenger, like the Revenger Abyss, really strong deck, restanding plays, very consistent. Genesis, Regalia, they were like the big one where it was like they had like 60k plus Vanguard swings with an extra critical added to them. Guard manipulation like that. What's called Prominence Glare, and the Blue Flame Liberator stuff. They had the guard manipulation with an extra crit, but they also had consistency. Aquavale was like the star of the deck. Thing Saver had his restanding plays, and you could actually do Thing Saver's restand twice in a turn if you had like a bunch of open damage. It's kind of like a one hit thing, but still, it could have been very devastating, especially if you hit it, if you had an extra column and you were putting crits and stuff on there if your opponent perfect got your Vanguard. So it could be very devastating there. So when Aquaforce came out for it, we had Tetra Burst and Starless and whatnot, and we got like this rare, this other rare grade 3 Legion that wasn't any good at all. But Tetra Burst's ability was just to, if he attacks on a certain battle, he gets extra power and a crit. Uh, that's it. And other than Legion, and those Legion is with a skill where you take a grade, you send back 4, take a grade 2 or whatever its Legion mate is from the deck, and pair it up on the Vanguard circle. So, the deck kind of had more of a Maelstrom feel, but with an extra crit. I mean, they could have easily given that to Maelstrom, I believe, so to speak. But it just was really weird. And in actually testing out, both Tetra Burst and Tetra Drive Transcore and whatnot. To be perfectly honest, I found that Tetra Drive Transcore was still the better Aquaforce deck, was still more consistent. The Tetra Drive Transcore Break Ride play was still a better play than, whatever type of, bursty type of play, Tetra Burst, tried to accomplish. Tetra Burst, which is really, it was just really hard to even go through a match with the deck because you saw its flaws. Not too much card draw. The crit was just really a vanilla thing. If they paired up the crit with some sort of guard manipulation, then sure, it would have been like that. But also being, people were still playing Glendio. Some people even played Chaos Breaker still, and I mean that's why I played. And even against the leaders, in a sense, the deck, still struggled to a degree. And I played the leaders during the Legion format for the most part. I actually was playing the leaders before I actually opened up a Legion rare set of Thing Saver Blaster Blade. Then I played that deck for a bit, but yeah, I played the leaders for a bit, and then that. I remember, like, I topped a few tournaments with the leaders, but I won one tournament when I went undefeated. I clearly remember that because it was the first time I ever played against, like, the and that's when Dark Regulars, were a really bottom tier clan, and their Legion stuff came from, like, I guess promos or whatever it is. It was really bad time then, but. Because I clearly remember playing against Dark Irregulars in round 2. Then I had a Deleter Mirror match round 3. I won that, and then round 4 I played against Thing Saver, and I won that one. I deleted his Vanguard, and both games, and I just had too much offensive pressure, and he didn't have another Thing Saver to re-ride over him or do anything, so it was really good. But yeah, I played the leaders during that time. I tried to play Tetra Burst in a few tournaments, and it just wasn't good. It just felt clunky. It just was, I tested it on area. I tested it with my squad, and it just wasn't good at all. So yeah, Tetra Burst just was good. And if I played Aquaforce, I just went right back to went back home to Tetra Drive Transcore. My boy Tidal Soul, things like that. You can put Tidal Soul in Tetra Burst, but it seems like Tidal was the only one that did any work in that deck most of the time. But yeah, it just wasn't good. So moving forward through Legion, we got to set 17, and that's when we had Nova Grapplers who were really, it was just because of the one thing with Cat Butler. Cat Butler Risers is what really made that deck. They had Draconic Overlord the Great, with Neo Flame. And then, the deck that I mained for the rest of the format was Blaster Joker. I loved Blaster Joker, and I'll never forget that I got second place at our Dynasty Cup with it. Games 2 and 3, I was severely grade locked, and back then they didn't have G Assist or, anything like that, so you can search for grade. So once you're stuck, you're stuck. So, but we went through the whole tournament. Excuse me for that. Went through the whole tournament. We played pretty good. But I loved Blaster Joker because his ability was to destroy, the Legion mate, and then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna lock your whole board and destroy your Legion mate. So then that would force the opponent to have to rewrite a grade 3 and Legion again. So that was very fun. Love Blaster Joker, but again, Aquaforce wasn't that good. By then, by set 17E came out, I was more or less done trying to figure out Tetra Burst. I just put them into cold storage and left them there for the rest of eternity because it was just horrible, and I don't ever want to go back to that. That was terrible. Legion format, however, the format for Legion was amazing. I loved Legion format. Very skillful. And you could tell, just the certain decks came out, the different interactions in the decks, different ways that you could, win a game and things like that. At least for the decks that got good support, that weren't wasn't clans that got their their Legion Vanguards or promos from or stuff from promos, or got disrespected like Aqua Force, things like that. But Legion format as a whole was a really good concept, and I wish it was something that lasted longer than just 2 sets in which they shoved everything in, like Brawlers. So Brawlers were actually good too. Brawlers are really good too, but which they just shoved a whole other clans in just so they could fit into 2 sets because it was short. It was really really bad the way that they execute. It was a good format, but the execution for it was bad, very bad. But playing Blaster Joker, like I said, you only got to play it really for a month, literally a month, because Stride. That's when the Stride era came out, and I guess that will lead us into next video, because I'm going to be talking about Aqua Force during the Stride era, at least part 1, the Stride era. The Stride era, I feel like for Aqua Force, Stride era can be broken down into 3 or 4 different parts, because I enjoyed Stride era when it first started. I thought it was pretty cool. The openings are still amazing. Mamoru Miyano, amazing artist, but I feel like with Aqua Force that they heavily suffered from how Bushiroad was executing the Stride format over a certain period. It started off nice. Was glad, I wasn't really happy Legion ended, but I enjoyed Stride format at the beginning. But then, as it went on, you just saw kind of a de-evolution of that. I would like to say, up until where where they had the format split and stand introduced, and we're definitely going to cover that in the and then over the next few videos, because I'm not somebody that I'm just gonna preface this. I don't hate premium format, but I don't enjoy it, and I'll explain why as we go through. Once we get towards the end of the Stride era for how Aqua Force was, evolution of Aqua Force through Stride era. But as for the Legion era was a fun era overall, but Aqua Force just wasn't really good. Didn't really shine, didn't do anything at all. Sure, you may have won a locals or 2 with it, or topped the locals, top 4 split, but you really can't push too much stock into that. I mean, if you could playing the deck, you clearly saw the difference between, it's like playing Tetraverse versus Revenger Abyss or Blue Flame Liberators, Genesis. Just certain things, is like you just notice that the decks are on totally different levels of play, and it just felt like where Aqua Force was at for Legion was more of a fanboy casual type of feel, instead of something that I can take to a tournament and feel good about doing well with, and again, it also relates to where Maelstrom is at that point, and even a little bit before that point, probably around even set 15 when Maelstrom Reverse came out, whereas Maelstrom was really becoming just a nostalgia type deck, and it was a deck for older Aqua Force players who were like this. Yeah, man, I've been playing Maelstrom since day 1. Oh, great! You want a cookie for that? Because it's not good. It's really not that good. But like I said, Maelstrom was becoming more of a nostalgia deck, just a deck to just be like, yeah, I like Maelstrom, so I just built the deck. Whatever. It was super cheap. Yeah, but it's not gonna, I'm not gonna go into a tournament expecting really to, do well. I'm just going to a tournament just to play it, or, it's a deck that I would use when I taught new players how to play, or just use, more or less in casual play when, I kind of wanted to just take a break from, or when I just didn't feel like playing Tetra Drive or anything like that. So that's how it was then. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely got more of the evolution of Aqua Force coming out for you. Stride era is going to be a long one. going to have probably about 3 or 4 videos covering Stride Era, because I do have a lot to talk about. And you guys know I have a lot of videos from then as well, a lot of deck tags, a lot of all this, so we'll definitely get into all that. But Cardfight King here, Aqua Life Baby, and we out.